Yes.
Maybe this isn't appropriate for the topic, but okay, Muhammad is the messenger.
Yes.
Okay, this is the message.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a different lecture where we're going to be specifically speaking to the message? Because I have a question about that. Is this an appropriate time to ask?
No, why don't you ask anything now? That would be fine.
Okay.
There is another lecture about the life of the prophet, though, which is also by myself.
Since the topic is the Qur'an, and this was a message, I'm going to ask something that might seem mean-spirited, but I don't mean it to be so, okay? This is what I'm wondering. So, if I have the Christian Bible here, I know that a major message is something like, love your enemies. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Can that message be found in here?
That same message.
Or similar? Is that a part of the message from the messenger?
Where it says, love your enemies in so many words? I can't think of any verses that say that directly. But of course, in the Bible, that is also not the main message of the Bible overall. It is simply a verse that occurs. I mean, you have something like al-kadhimin al-ghayza wal-afina an an-nas, which is those who suppress righteous anger and forgive people. And so that is found in a certain verse in the Qur'an, and that would be somewhat along the lines of what you say. And there are a considerable number of verses that count that ask for patience.
Can I read you something?
Yes.
There's no mean spirit here, but this was arbitrary, just flipping through a few weeks ago, and I came across this. It says, it is not fitting for the prophet and those who believe that they should pray for forgiveness for pagans, even though they be of kin, after it is clear to them that they are companions of the fire. And Abraham prayed for his father's forgiveness only because of the promise he had made to him. But when it became clear to him that he was an enemy to Allah, he disassociated himself from him.
Okay, so?
Well, I see a tension there, a difference between the Christian book and the Christian message, part of it in this message. And what I think is a fair question is if I'm misreading something.
I think that is not a necessary conclusion. And the reason it would be like this, that the Bible contains various sorts of information and various things. You can find, for example, in Deuteronomy that if a city rebels, destroy it utterly, kill every man, woman, child, and animal in the place, and burn the spoil, because it is not permissible to take any of the spoil since it's filth because of the rebellion of the place, which is seemingly a text trying to discourage rebellion. And yet that exists right there as holy writ for the Christian, even if it is said to be abrogated by the coming of Jesus with his second message, a New Testament, etc. Nevertheless, it still is on the books, and it is unalterably scripture because the early Christians decided that the Old Testament was scripture, mainly because Jesus had quoted it as scripture, and so it was inescapable that it be viewed that way. And the attempt to get rid of it by Marcion, the Gnostic, who proposed a Bible without the Old Testament, didn't succeed and was branded as a serious heresy. And so the idea that you take texts and quote them out of context doesn't necessarily reflect the ethos of a religion. In the case of Islam, scripturally, you cannot do without the hadith in addition to the Qur'an, but in order to leave Dr. Shafi his possibility of speaking about the hadith, Dr. Shafi, and according to, to concentrate on the Qur'an here, I didn't state that, but the hadith is also considered to be kind of a revelation. The hadith is considered certainly to be normative. It is at least quasi-scriptural, or maybe you could call the hadith collections quasi-canonical. In any case, that adds an enormous amount of text also that one must take from. And so you can find various texts that may tend in this way and that way. Now, that's not to say that the religions are all the same, therefore, because you have to look also at how the people deal with the religion and what they do with it and how they elaborate it and so on. But this same Qur'an, which the standard legal practice of Islam is partly based on, although it's also largely based on the hadith, also gave rise to such things as Jalaluddin Rumi, the poet of love, the Sufi poet of love, who is very popular in American pop culture right now and is widely read. Rumi, you probably have heard of him. There's various translations of his poems that are around. And so followers of Rumi have then a different way of looking at that than people who might take things with a more stern-minded type of attitude. And for the Christian side, it's not to be hidden from you that the same Bible that enjoined loving your enemies also was the text that was sworn by people who were burning the witches and practicing what today appears to be a narrow-minded and harsh Puritanism.